Hello, 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 hello. Welcome. This is Meat and Monogamy, the podcast. I am Olivia Owen. I'm so excited to be here. And this is my first proper long form podcast where I'm going to be speaking about all things woman, nourishment, life of devotion, self-trust, building a life that can hold you. And I didn't want this to be live. I didn't want this to be a live stream. I wanted actually to not be operating from any kind of urgency in creating this. I wanted this to be a home for my work, a home for my thinking, a place you can come to tap in, to really kind of get a sense of what are my thoughts? What am I thinking? What am I teaching? And then I really wanted this to be a home for us all to grow together. So here we are. I am so excited, and what better way to kick off than to kick off with some foundations. Okay, so I'm going to be speaking about thresholds today. So this is through my experience. I've been working with women for the last 9 years. And this is what I really see as women. What do we need when we are at thresholds? Okay. So first of all, I'm going to define what a threshold is. I think it's really, really important to set the frame, because a threshold is not just a bad week. This is not like a burnout where you're just going to go on a holiday and you're going to fix it, right? This is not like a confusion. You're not confused where you're just going to plan. You're going to like get a planner and plan your life, and you're going to just fix the problem. Like, this is not what a threshold is in the way that I know it to be and teach it. Okay. So a threshold is when you've had like tons of awareness, right? You've been doing the work, you've got new awareness, you're like, go. And you've got this new awareness, but it's like landed. You've got this awareness, the awareness has landed, but you're not quite yet all the way through the other side. Like, your behavior hasn't changed. You don't really know what to do with the new awareness. You're at this threshold of change, but you've got the awareness, but you haven't got the new embodied aligned action yet. Like, you don't really know what to do with the awareness. Okay. So this could be an example of like, you're in a relationship, it's not really fitting anymore, or like the relationship you built with someone, like both of you, there's this kind of sense of like, we've outgrown it. It might not mean it's the end, but it means that it needs to evolve. Or you're in something and you're like, I know, I have the awareness that this is not working. Like, it's not working. But you're not like through the other side. You haven't taken action. You haven't gone through that transformational process of like unraveling the relationship. Okay. So a threshold is also like when you're aware something is changing, like, you can feel it. Something is changing and you're in that like rumble. You're like, okay, it's changing. I'm not really sure like what it looks like on the other side, but I'm aware that it's happening. So this is like, I don't know, you're in like a role. Okay, you're at your job. You're in this role, a specific role, and you've been doing it for a long time, or but it's draining you. You're like, this is not filling me up. This is not really giving me anything. It looks good on paper. Like, I'm doing the thing that looks good. I'm doing the thing that I thought that I should do, but it's not really working, right? And I kind of like, I'm aware of that. A threshold is also like old ways of coping no longer working, right? So you've had these old ways of coping, and it's just like, you can't overfunction in this way anymore. You're overfunctioning, you're overholding. You've been doing it for a really long time. It's no longer working, and you're aware of that. You haven't yet changed the behavior, but you are aware, and it's like, that is a threshold. Okay. You're also at a threshold if like something is at stake. Okay. So for example, maybe you're in a relationship and you want more intimacy. You want more of something, you desire more of something, but you're terrified of what it would require of you to become somebody who could be vulnerable enough to ask for something more. You're aware that there's a stake here. right? There's a stake of like losing maybe some of the protection that you currently have, maybe some of the comfort you currently have. Like that is a threshold. Okay, so at a threshold, this is when like forcing yourself to be clear about something isn't actually helping you. You need something else. Okay. So what do women think they need at this place? This is really interesting because there's a lot of things that you think you need, but I have found that you don't actually need this. Okay. So maybe you think you need immediate answers. You need someone to tell you what to do. You need like a 5-step plan, a strategy. You need to have some certainty before you're going to act. You need something to be clear and certain before you take any action. And maybe you need reassurance that it's all going to work out. Okay. So you try and like overanalyze the situation, process the shit out of it. I find just like, I call it like the process rabbit hole, where you just get stuck processing and processing and processing and processing, but like nothing is actually changing. You're not actually sort of vulnerably moving in a new direction. You're just like stuck in this overanalysis of the situation. It can be very addictive because our minds love to like chew on something over and over again. They will just keep going, going, going. Think of the speed of the mind versus the speed of the body. Like the speed of the body tends to be slower. The mind tends to be very fast. So overanalyzing, you might think you need it. You might be really good at it, especially for my ladies out there that are, practitioners, or you've been doing the work a long time. You know yourself. You're kind of like well seasoned. You are the worst at this. You love to overanalyze because you're good at analyzing things. But it often in this situation isn't helping you. Okay. Neither is a 5-step plan or any kind of plan, strategy, do this, do that, to do it, roadmap, like it is not going to help you. Like you're trying to ask other people, you're trying to get reassurance from other people, you're trying to like outsource the next step. And maybe you're making pros and cons lists of like, if I do this, it looks like this, or or maybe you're pretending that you're feeling stronger than you are. Maybe you're feeling like you really have to perform having it all together, but maybe the situation that you're in, or the threshold that you're kind of at right now, is actually really tough, and you're like struggling to hold yourself through this. Like you feel like alone in this. Okay, like maybe you're performing strength and performing that you've got this is actually really not helping you. I have found that my ladies that I work with, my clients, like you get to put the armor down a little bit and stop having to perform that you're really strong right now. And it's not to say you aren't inherently strong, but it's like performing something that you don't actually feel it's not helping you. And it hasn't been helping you for a long time. Okay. So instinctively, when we're at a threshold, we want to speed up, right? We want to go fast because it is bloody uncomfortable. Bloody uncomfortable, such an English expression, but it is bloody uncomfortable to be at a threshold. It requires a kind of patience and capacity building. Speed is usually not the right medicine. So if you're trying to rush, make a quick decision, figure it out fast, move beyond where you are, chances are it's not going to work for you. Instinctively, you might feel the need to do that because you're uncomfortable, but really check in. Is this actually what feels true? Or am I being led by an urgent feeling to get away from where I am? Okay. Sitting in like the truth of how you're really feeling and what's really going on can be extremely uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean that you're under threat or there's something really bad happening. It just means that you're waking up to some changes, and that's not necessarily a threatening and bad thing. You're not in any kind of danger. Okay. And I think sometimes because we're uncomfortable, we're like danger, danger, danger. Are you really in danger? Is there something really serious actually happening, or are you just uncomfortable? What do you actually need? Okay, this is really helpful because this is really the core of this message. Okay, what I have found that you need is that you need containment. So this is not more control, more managing, more fixing. This is actually like you have a space where you don't have to perform, that you have all this insight, you know exactly what to do, and like all the next steps. Like you don't need that. Like you need a space where your nervous system can actually relax and settle down, be held. And you need to be in a space that doesn't rush you, right? You need to be in a space where you can't just like melt and relax and stay and like soften everything, not from a pressured place of you need an answer, you need to know what to do, but from actually containing and being held in a contained way. I have found containment works wonders in thresholds, okay? Because what it does is it allows you to feel like you have the capacity to even get to some kind of clarity, to even make some kind of decision, okay? Capacity comes before decision. Capacity comes before decision. This is really key because I see that a lot of you try to make big life decisions when you're really dysregulated, right? When you're reactive, when you're like stressed, when you're hurting, you are trying to make a big life decision. You're trying to like figure something out. And actually, it's really, really hard to do that from a dysregulated place, okay? What you actually need is to build your internal capacity. You need to feel like you can sit with the truth and you can expand your ability to sit with yourself. So when you do start hearing these uncomfortable truths that you might not like, because they might be sort of, you know, bitter medicine sometimes of like, oh God, I actually have this desire for this thing, or this isn't really working for me, right? You actually verbalize something. You need to have the ability to sit with and tolerate that discomfort. Capacity before you make a decision helps you to build your ability to sit with the uncomfortable truth, right? This is so key. This is so key. Stop trying to make decisions from a dysregulated, urgent place, right? Chances are you're not going to be able to, you're going to be making a decision from more of a collapsed place. And that's going to feel really, really different than making a decision from a steady, regulated place, okay? So capacity before decision. This is really, really, really key. And I really believe that like when you can learn to build this and like build your capacity to be with your internal experience, so much can shift. Like those big decisions, those big changes become far less scary because you learn what your body system needs in order to make a decision from a steady place, even when life's feeling uncertain, even when you're feeling full of fear, right? You can still come back to a grounded, steady place in order to take a step forward, okay? I also believe that you need hella permission to not rush. This is so big, so big, so big, because permission to not rush is going to really help you to learn how to wait. Waiting is actually really mature. It's a maturing process that you can wait. You don't need to have everything right now. You're not like a kind of excited child that's like, I want this, I want that, and da, 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 da. Like actually you can wait. You can wait. It's not passive. Like people think waiting is passive and I'm just like waiting around and nothing's happening and like I should be fucking getting on with it. Actually, that's sort of a lot of cultural conditioning we have around like urgency and panic and action being like the thing that trumps everything else. There's actually so much to be said between like allowing yourself to not decide yet, to take your time, to be kind of in your process with something and allowing yourself to let it all unfold. This is actually where you build self-trust. Self-trust usually gets severed when you rush because you're going to probably have the experience of collapsing and being frustrated, like, oh, I did that thing again. And you then have to kind of go through the process again. So waiting is not avoidance. Sometimes you may feel judgment of yourself if you wait. You might feel judgment of somebody else, like maybe someone else is sort of waiting and they're kind of getting clear, and perhaps you treat them as avoidant. You're like, oh, they're avoiding me or they're avoiding their life. But actually it takes great maturity to sort of give yourself the permission to not rush something. And I think not rushing is a huge regulation skill. Finally, I think that the final thing I'll say is you really need nourishment at a threshold. Okay. So this is, you know, like a little bit of comfort, right? So, I'm a former intense bitch. I mean, I have lived quite a colorful and, fast-paced life up until, I would say, the last few years. And I have really, really learned a lot about how intensity can be very destabilizing. It can be very addictive. It can be very destabilizing. Not necessarily bad or wrong, but it is hard to sustain. Nourished living, like living a nourished existence, especially if you're a woman and you have the physiology of a woman, is it's so much better for you. It's just what I have found in working with women, like over and over again. Like a nourished version of you that is, taking care of yourself and learning how to do that and learning the skills of that is far more beneficial than just going from intense thing to intense thing to intense thing. So, for example, like I think a real grown-up adult woman, this looks like eating properly, sleeping properly, being able to have honest conversations with yourself, with other people, having people around you that are like a supportive ecosystem for you, being able to be in discomfort and be uncomfortable without making a drama, without kind of, I'm uncomfortable, so I'm going to make it other people's problems. Like actually be able to learn to sit in discomfort without like picking a fight or creating a problem somewhere. This is all about like nourishment really helps you build a life where you can love, and you can love and be loved, where you can actually, take your time and you can actually build from a place of nourishment, versus when you build from a place of intensity, it tends to create collapse. And that's been my experience over and over again. Anything I built from an intense place has absolutely crumbled up from underneath me. And I have really had to learn like a new way of being. And that is the thing that I teach my clients and my women. That's infused in all of my work. You can build sustainable, real lives when you are nourished, when you are not rushing, when you are taking the time to attend to the foundations of things. Is it the sexiest path? Not always. Sometimes you're like, I want it to be faster. What the fuck's going on? And I have found that a lot of the women that come to me are sort of ready to hang up the boots of the intense merry-go-round and actually kind of learn the new way. Okay. So it's part of the reason why I wanted to create this podcast, right? Like I have worked with women at these thresholds for years, and I've been through so many of my own, and it's interesting. I've wanted to create like a solo podcast for many years. I have done variations of this over the years. I've had a talk show that was like a video live stream talk show that I love. That was kind of about 5 years ago. In recent years, I've had my fireside chats, which are live streams, and I've just kind of wanted to upgrade and create a more steady home. And this will be a video podcast, an audio podcast. I wanted something that was mine, that's like a place where I can go deep, where I can be in my own rhythm, where I can like think out loud, where I can build my capacity to share, and to really bring my thought leadership, to bring my expertise, to bring my ideas, to bring the principles that really govern the work that I do with women. I've seen hundreds of lives changed over the years in the work that I bring. And I really want this podcast to be a home where it's out there in the world. It's free, it's accessible, it's for you to enjoy, it's for you to learn, it's for you to kind of like discover. And it also is a place where, I can grow. So I wanted this to be an imperfect, perfect first episode. And I wanted to, really give you a taste of the foundations of some of the things that I teach over and over and over again in hundreds of different ways to my women. And thank you for being here. I'm just delighted. It feels like so perfectly timed, such a right like moment to do this. And if you're listening to this and it's resonating hard and you're like, I'm at one of those thresholds, that's me right now, you are welcome to book a 75-minute deep dive. That is the entry point into my work. These are deep dive sessions where we really look at the patterns that are governing your life right now. We look at like the thing that just like keeps happening over and over again. We look at where you want to go, where you want to be. And then I give you 3 strategies based on what's in the way that I recommend. So 3 recommendations that are really going to change the course for you. So if you want this kind of medicine, that is the first step. That is the best way to work with me to start your journey. And the link to book will be in the show notes. Okay, that is it for now. This has been so brilliant, and let's continue.